Let me guess. You work hard. Really, really hard. Yet, it feels like there's no progress. You're always told to put your head down, trust the process, yet nothing ever happens. In this video, I'm going to share with you one of the most important lessons that I've learned while running a business as a 22-year-old. So I was in a really tough spot in my career. It seems like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. I just couldn't seem to make any progress, and instead it felt like I was going completely backwards. So it just so happened that I had to go on a work trip, and that's when everything started to change. That was the catalyst. This had nothing to do with the work itself. It's because on a trip, my entire routine was broken down. So imagine when you're at home, you have this daily routine that you're sticking to. Now, when you're actually going abroad or going on a trip, that routine breaks down. This is when the most important thing happened. I had the extra time to think and let the thoughts come flowing in. Now, because we're so busy in our daily lives, whether we're working a lot, I was working 24/7, and there's just no time to sit down and even think to yourself. You're always doing something. You always got a message on your phone to check. You always got to run to the next thing. Now, this was the first time where I was able to just sit down and have some time to think, have some time on my hands to let the thoughts come flowing in. And this is when something special happened. For the first time ever, it felt like I took my head out of the water and I could breathe. Suddenly, I started getting answers and powerful solutions for my business. I finally started to see the light at the end of a long, dark road. So I immediately started making calls, planning, taking decisions, taking risks, just making all kinds of moves and really putting myself forward. Things started moving in the right direction. Now, the next thing I did was come home and put everything into action. I was very conscious of the process. Now, the key takeaway for myself was, and the only reason I was able to get such clarity is because I just had some time to think. And so I've decided for myself that I'm always going to make time at least once a week to take a step back and sit down and just do some thinking. This way I can make sure that I'm still on the right track, and at the same time, if I need to, course correct. And that basically means to take your head out of the water. Before I knew it, things were moving at an incredible pace. I felt like I'm finally making progress. Every single obstacle was getting blown out of the way. I felt like I was in a car with the gas pedal all the way to the floor. Only that car turned out to be a Toyota. So I continued to take the time to take a small chunk out of the week just to think. And before I knew it, I had changed vehicles. It no longer felt like I was in a Toyota, but instead I was in a Lambo. Who would have thought that a mere 30 minutes out of a weekly session with just myself and my own thoughts could make such a big difference in my life? And then I thought, imagine if I did this more often. I started doing this daily, sometimes even multiple times a day. And now I'm on track to knock out all my goals in the fast lane. That put me in a far better situation, and I'm super excited for the future. And I want the same for you guys. That's why I'm teaching you this lesson. Always keep your head out of the water. See, when I work 24/7, I thought I'm working hard and smart since I'm working on the right things. That's complete bullshit. I started doing this daily, sometimes even multiple times a day. And now I'm on track to knock out all my goals in the fast lane. That put me in a far better situation, and I'm super excited for the future. And I want the same for you guys. That's why I'm teaching you this lesson. Always keep your head out of the water. See, when I work 24/7, I thought I'm working hard and smart since I'm working on the right things. That's complete bullshit. Reality is, if you're working 24/7 with your head underwater, how can you still see if you're going the right way? So what would happen to me every few months is I would take my head out of the water unconsciously. Maybe I'm spending some time with family. Maybe I decided to, take a couple days off. It would feel like I can actually take a breath, right? I can zoom out and look at the bigger picture. And what would happen is I'd get extremely pissed off at myself, as in I'd realize, why have I been working on this if I could have been making a lot more progress working on the other thing? So I would course correct and put my head down and continue working. This is not smart work at all. This is just blind hard work. The whole time you think you've been getting somewhere, you've actually been going further and further away from your goal. Simple fact is, you cannot work 24/7 without understanding where you are and where it is you're going. You need to always be asking yourself questions. Am I doing this as efficiently as possible? Am I in the right vehicle? Am I digging with my hands, or is there a sharper shovel? Always assess the direction you're going in and realign yourself with your goals if needed. Of course, it goes without saying, hard work is a given. Do everything to the best of your ability. Do not be sloppy with your work. Here's an example. Imagine you start out walking, slowly turn into a jog, and then eventually you're running, and you're running really, really fast, and you barely can catch your breath, and you're stopping for water, and you stop, zoom out, you've been running on a treadmill. Wouldn't that piss you off? You kept working your ass off, you kept your head underwater, only to zoom out and realize you've been running on a treadmill this entire time. So, of course, real results are going to take time and effort, but don't do it blindly. And here's a secret that employers don't want you to know. See, I've been on both sides. I've been both the employee and the employer. In a company or a workplace, who is the person that's usually the most in control of everything? Obviously, that's the boss or the manager. And they're able to stay in control of everything because they have the luxury of always keeping their head out of the water. In fact, many bosses don't even dip their feet in the water. They're always able to stay above you. And the biggest scam your boss tells you is to put your head down, have blind faith, keep up the hard work, and eventually you'll succeed. The only person you're going to make succeed at that point is your boss and his company. If someone you're working for told you to put your head down and do the work, that basically means that you fully submit and fully relinquish all control and power of where you're going to your boss. You've basically put on a collar, gave him the leash, and said, I trust you to take me where I want to go. If your boss has your best interest, which is almost never the case, then great. But the only person who really has your best interest is you. Therefore, never surrender your control over where you're going in life to anyone else but you. This is one of the most important things I've learned to fix my life. Know where you're going at all times, look at key indicators of progress, don't cope with yourself, look at stats and facts, and keep your head out of the water.